I'm always grateful, my friends, for this annual celebration because it provides us an opportunity to pause and reflect on Dr. King's life and his legacy, an occasion to recognize members of our campus community and the greater Omaha community who emulate Dr. King's values, and it also provides us, each one of us, an opportunity to reflect on our own life, our values, and ultimately our own legacy. This is a time to check our direction, to benchmark how far we've come, and hopefully to rededicate ourselves to becoming better people. One of Dr. King's most persistent and important questions was simply this: what have you done to help other people? And in that simple question, Dr. King underscored many of the values that we as a Catholic Jesuit institution hold sacred: respect for the individual, compassion for the poor, justice for all, and service to others. Dr. King emphasized the importance of working together to fight injustice, as he stated so eloquently in that very familiar letter from Birmingham jail, and I quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." Quote. We've come a long way since Dr. King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Civil rights laws have been enacted locally and nationally. Race relations have improved. We are more tolerant and accepting of others. We've national programs to address poverty and homelessness. Federal minimum wage laws have been enacted, as well as open housing legislation. However, I think we all know, sitting here this afternoon, we still face tremendous problems. We still have deep pockets of poverty, even here in our home community. The gap between the rich and the poor has widened. Paralyzing unemployment is among us. Discrimination in access to health care exists. Intolerance and prejudice is evident in our communities, and equality still eludes many across the country. And so I challenge you today, as I challenge myself, and I challenge this institution, to let this event be a source to renew determination and hope as we look forward to the future, working together to overcome those obstacles within each of us and within our society that prevents us from being one community in solidarity with one another. Now, I know you've all heard these exhortations many times before. We've heard them again and again, but I truly believe it is worth repeating them because if nothing else, it reminds us, ever so quietly or subtly, of our responsibility to each other to work for a more just, humane, and harmonious future for all of our brothers and sisters. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. King, which I've used before at this event, is drawn from a little-known sermon entitled "Unfulfilled Dreams." And it's a story based on the Hebrew scripture of King David and his failure to complete the temple to put in the Ark of the Covenant that God had directed him to do. And Dr. King reminds us that in the course of our life, we all start many projects, but we do not necessarily finish all of those projects. And this is what he said. "Well, that is the story of life, and the thing that makes me happy is that I can hear a voice crying through the vista of time saying, 'It may not come today, it may not come tomorrow, but it is well that the dream is within your heart. It is well that you are trying. You may not see it, the dream may not be fulfilled, but it is good that you have the desire to bring it into reality. It is well that it is within your heart." Quote. And so it is, I suggest, for each of us gathered here today. It's well that the dream is within your heart. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you for witnessing to Creighton's commitment to build a more inclusive community and a more just and humane world. Thank you for having the intention within you. Now let me end with a favorite passage from a British philosopher, Bertrand Russell. And I've often referred to this passage in my own personal reflections. Russell wrote, and I quote, I may have thought the road to a world of free and happy human beings shorter than it is proving to be. But I was not wrong in thinking that such a world is possible, and that it is worthwhile to live with a view to bringing that world nearer. I have lived in pursuit of a vision both personal and social. Personal to care for what is noble, for what is beautiful, for what is gentle, to allow moments of insight to give wisdom at more mundane times. And I have a vision that was social, to see in imagination the society that is to be created, where individuals grow freely and where hate and greed and envy die because there is nothing to nourish them. These things I believe, in the world for all of its horrors, has left me unshaken. Quote, so say I, and so lived Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Thank you.
Through his vision and leadership, Father John P. Slagle is inextricably tied to the university's current stature and momentum, which now includes an increased awareness of diversity at all levels. In the Jesuit Catholic tradition, he has embraced the community and encouraged all to participate in facing and solving the challenges of today and tomorrow to create a more just world. And as a side note, I was not a party to the communications when the decision was made for me to present Father Slagle with this award. I missed the meeting, showed up to the next one, and Tamara Smith was like, oh yeah, Jamal, you're presenting Father Slagle with an award. And me, I love to talk, so I just nodded my head and I said, okay. But I don't think the committee really understood how important and symbolic it was for me to present Father Slagle this award. Just 2 years ago, in February of 2009, the tables were turned, and Father Slagle and John Pierce stood at the podium and presented me with an award and also announced my acceptance into law school. And with that, my mom, who was sitting about 8 rows back, was sitting there with tears running down her eyes. And it was just a situation in the moment that was very pivotal because we didn't know it at the time, but my mother would pass away that following July, and that would be the last time that she would ever witness me being recognized. So, Father Slagle, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and it's with great honor and respect that I, on behalf of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Week Planning Committee, present to you the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Visionary Award